Welcome to King for the Day, your racing's dictator.
We have to make it so bad that nobody would ever contemplate doing it again.
But is it right that the jockey who rides the horse gets less than the stable staff?
The integrity of racing in Britain remains the envy of the world.
The least price in 1991 was £2,178 to the winner.
I would ban any horse found having been doped for at least 1 year and possibly up to 3 years, depending on the severity of it.
What changes and reforms would you introduce?
How many other professional sports would only have a part-time chief medical advisor? We need a full-time one.
Dale Gibson, a jockey for 24 years, riding 528 winners, including 5 for the Queen, and recipient of 2 special recognition Leicesters from his fellow professionals in 2008 and 2009. Since retirement, Dale has helped raise nearly £500,000 for Apprentices Northern Racing College and Jack Berry House, the North's equivalent of Oaksey House in Lambourne, for the rehabilitation of injured jockeys past and present. A media-savvy leading spokesman for riders on all issues of welfare, safety and commercial involvement, Dale is now Industry Liaison Officer and External Director of the Professional Jockeys Association. Dale, welcome to King for a Day. You're back in the saddle as racing's dictator. What changes and reforms would you introduce?
Well, I think the first major one I'd introduce, John, is payment of a non-runner half fee for every single jockey who has a non-runner. It's a major issue at the moment. In 2012, nearly 10% of all declared runners were non-runners.
That's a huge figure. I never knew that.
It's a huge figure. And bearing in mind self-certification, i.e. the connections of the horse can literally scratch the horse for any reason they want. That runs at over 40% of those non-runners are taken out self-certification.
Well, people say the draw at Chester, if you're drawn on the outside, it's amazing how many non-runners are suddenly taken ill, isn't it?
But it's not just that. It's up and down the country, both codes. It's more of an issue on the flat than it is national hump, but it's a major issue with the jockeys. It's something that we thought had come in December 2010. The ROA and the BHA agreed. But
that's
then
the owners and the racing rulers.
Yes, the Racehorse Owners Association and BHA Rulers of Racing agreed, and then it was scuppered within a very short space of time by the trainers and others. But it is something that is personally very dear to my heart, and I think that if you have fewer non-runners, you have more runners. Surely that benefits not just the jockey, but it benefits the racecourse, the punter, because the punter knows what the shape of the race will be, the offshore punter, who's betting overseas, and bearing in mind with 48-hour declarations, he or she is trying to make his mind up, in advance of where we do, not knowing what the weather conditions or else other things are going to happen. And I just think that overall it's good for the industry to introduce it. Let's face it, this day and age, if you book a train ticket or you book a hotel or you book a holiday, if you then renege on that, or you book the gas man, and then you say to the gas man as he knocks at the door, "Sorry, Mr. Gas Man, I don't want you today. My gas is fixed by somebody else," you will pay a fee.
But in the punter's interest, if horses are withdrawn, say the going changes, whatever the reasons are for withdrawing, forget about the draw and slightly dubious circumstances there, it's in their interest that owners and trainers are not discouraged from taking their horses out. And they might say, well, at least we'll save a bit of money if we run the beast. So isn't that is not in the punter's interest? And also, what would you do with abandoned meetings? People turning up on the course, the jockeys arrive on the course, but there's no actual racing takes place.
That's probably a difficult one to answer right now, John. I know that the Racehorse Owners Association do have a fee in mind, and they do actually pay out a fee when that happens. That's
just to their members.
That's just to their members. Not all owners are members of the Racehorse Owners Association. There's nothing in place for the jockey at present for an abandoned meeting. But the main issue, John, is the fact that non-runner half fee. In Australia, they receive all of their fee when the horse is declared a non-runner, and it cannot run for 30 days. Now, I know they have a different funding mechanism, but it works there. They also have something similar in New Zealand.
Well, you say half fee for jockeys for non-runners. Why not the whole fee?
But perhaps we should go for half fee and come down. Perhaps we should, John. Perhaps you should be negotiating for us. But we just feel that in the overall round of things, when it costs £20,000 as a ballpark figure to have a horse in training, a horse on the flat runs 6 times per year as an average and 4 times per year on the national hunt. So 6 on the flat, 4 on a national hunt. As a ballpark figure, it's a non-runner once in every 10 declarations. So we're talking a couple of years for a national hunt horse as a ballpark figure, and not quite 2 years on the flat. Okay? So if you're an owner and you've got this horse in training and it's a non-runner once in 2 years, and you have to give the jockey 60 quid on the flat and 85 quid on national hunt, is that a problem?
Another issue that's come up with the retirement of Dr. Michael Turner, racing's chief medical advisor. What replacement should we find as far as the terms that they actually work under?
Dr. Michael Turner has done an excellent job, first and foremost, John. I've worked with him on a couple of issues, concussion and also with weights.
You lost your spleen, didn't you?
I did indeed.
You were off for how many months?
I was off for 5 months, John.
A fall at Beverley. I've done my research.
Well done.
Yeah, so it is. We all know a hazardous profession. As AP has said, the only profession where an ambulance follows you all around. So much has been done for jockeys. Martin Dwyer recently, that fall at Southwell, it was brilliant the way the ambulance took him. Everybody accepts, and Martin's recovering very well. So what can the replacement for Michael Turner, what are you worried about there?
What we would like to see, in that we've got a huge fixture list, John, as you well know. It's racing 24/7, 1,464 fixtures in 2014. Sunday racing, evening racing all over the place. And it's very important for the man or woman at the top to be in overall control of what goes on when there's difficult decisions to make. Dr. Michael Turner's put a lot into concussion, and I think he's going to continue doing that. Plastic rails, back protectors, all those things which you must never stand still with. Just because you think you've done something and achieved something, you must never sit back and think, that's me, I'm done. You've always got to evolve and try and improve yourself. It's a bit like a mobile phone. We wouldn't be seen dead with a mobile phone we had 10 years ago. These things evolve and improve all the time. And I think it's important for that person who's at the top and makes the big decisions. And bearing in mind he has the PGA medical advisor reporting to him, Anna Louise McKinnon, who does a fantastic job, and then the senior medical advisor on the racecourse officer on the track, and the racecourse medical advisor. It's a really good team, as you said, with Martin Dwyer's fall, and he's alluded to that on At the Races. Excellent interview. He was dealt with professionally and speedily. And that's what must continue. And it's just about keeping the standards as high as they've been with Dr. Turner. Dr. Turner had a dual role. Okay, so he worked very hard when he was there, but he didn't work every single day. And we just think that racing is every single day of the year.
Full-time
job, so that you are able to be making those difficult calls. And I just think that we are a professional sport, John. And how many other professional sports would only have a part-time chief medical advisor? We need a full-time one.
Talking about medical matters again, what about insurance for jockeys? Just looking on the outside, and there's a lot of calls for, and you'll be making your own plea for it, I'd say I have to insure myself. Nobody else comes and insures me. So why shouldn't jockeys insure themselves?
Well, we've brought in a couple of things over the last 2 or 3 years. One that I had a heavy involvement with was the Stobart posterior site, which was an additional payment, part payment and funding for career-ending falls. 7 people have had a 6-figure payout there from career-ending falls, on top of Professional Riders Insurance Scheme, PRIS for short, which is 13% premium on top of the riding fee, which the owner pays.
No, that's it clear. The owner pays.
The owner pays out. Now, that pays for the jockey when he or she is off. I received that for 20 weeks back in 96, 97 when I was hospitalised, and I needed every penny of that. That is separate to what I'm proposing here, and that is private medical insurance, so that when a jockey comes into the game, he or she is an apprentice or a conditional, immediately they sign the licence, John, they are covered whether it's Bupa or another funder, by professional medical insurance.
And who pays for it?
Well, we are looking down avenues as we speak, dealing with the Injured Jockeys Fund, the IJF, who have an interest here because they want jockeys to get back to work as soon as possible. PRIS, the Professional Riders Insurance Scheme, they have a huge pot, but they're paying out all the time. They want jockeys not to be claiming, but to be working. There are other funding avenues out there which we are looking at right now with the Chief Executive Paul Struthers and others doing a really good job trying to get this right, John, so that we have a position that when they start riding, they are covered, they can get back into the mainstream as soon as they possibly can. And it's something that we hope at some stage we can achieve.
You're not looking for more money from owners?
I don't see a contribution directly from the owner, because at the moment, the owner pays that contribution from the PRIS, the Professional Riders Insurance, on top of the riding fee as an insurance every single time they ride. In North America at the moment, John, there are some racetracks who will not insure their jockeys for riding track work in case they fall off. That is a serious, serious matter. I was talking to Michael Dickinson about it at Doncaster in September. We're quite lucky here. We have a fantastic welfare structure in the UK. We look after the professional riders who ride on our English racetracks. But we must always look to improve, and this will help every single licensed jockey in the UK if we can get it through.
What about lads and lasses riding out on the gallops?
That is separate. That is actually with the employer, i.e. the trainer. That is a separate issue completely, and something that is pretty well covered, but it's not really our issue as we speak. One
problem that you've highlighted is the prize money percentages. Now, jockeys for winning get 7% roughly on the flat, 8% for national hunt racing. People will say, what's wrong with that?
They would indeed, John, they would indeed. But back in the 70s, back in the day, as they say, it was 10%. There's this misconception that jockeys get 10% of prize money. It hasn't happened for 35 years. In other jurisdictions, they do get 10%. We're also looking at place money. Believe it or not, place money, I showed you the printout earlier, it's mind-boggling. The BHA were going to oversee it and have another look at it a couple of years ago. That didn't happen.
I think very roughly explain, it's 3% or 3.5%.
Roughly 3.5% of place money. So let's say somebody finishes second in a big race, be it the Oaks or the Derby or whatever, and yes, it's a nice little prize. But actually, the stable staff, believe it or not, for the placed horses, the second, third, and fourth, get more than the jockey. Now, I was a stable lad when I first started off. I'm not decrying them their car, but is it right that the jockey who rides the horse gets less than the stable staff?
So you're king for the day, what would you do?
Primarily, there's two things I'd like to do. Like to introduce a 1% win bonus paid directly, no other indirect deductions, from the owner to the winning jockey. So it's a winning bonus. It's not.
So they go up from 8% on the flat, 9% national hunt.
Yep.
So more money from the owner.
From the owner. This is for winning, John. Right. This isn't for finishing last. The owner's got his paycheck. He's had his great day out. He's got his photograph on the mantelpiece, and the jockey's he's getting a slap on the back.
And there are some women owners, you know.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Plenty of them, and I rode plenty of them. Or maybe if they're lucky, they're getting a kiss, John. So they're getting a kiss off the winning owner. Fantastic. You can't beat a kiss off the winning owner. Okay. But also, I would maybe look, and it's only tiny, but when we're talking about quite a lot of money over the course of the year for a jockey who rides for 12 months, flip that percentage over with the stable staff. They're getting 3% of that place money, but the jockey's getting that 0.5%, flip it over. That would make a difference. So two things there.
So, Dale, this is amazing. You want to steal money from... Yes, you do. No. Steal money from stable staff, 0.5%, which kind of adds up, goes into the stable pool. Yeah. Steal money from them to give it to your members, to jockeys. People say that's absolutely outrageous.
They may well do. They may well do. But there's only the cake to look at, OK? And this comes up with our members 3 or 4 times a year. 3 or 4 times a year. There are also deductions for other things as well, which are mind-blowingly intricate, as you saw from the printout I showed you earlier. You know, and it differentiates if it's a listed race, if there's 4 prizes, 5 prizes, 6 prizes, national hunt flat. It needs simplifying.
But you want owners and stable staff to pay more money to jockeys out of their own pockets.
I'm talking about owners when they win. Yeah. So Mr. John McCririck is an owner. He's just got 10,000 quid. He may have to give another £100 to the jockey.
More, but these demands.
And you've just made £10,000 and had a win.
Yeah, but these not many £10,000 races.
No. There's a few. There's a few.
Yeah, but so more and more demands coming in on the owners. And owners are really absolutely cheesed off with all this.
But you say that, right? Okay, we've got more money in 2014. I have a number of friends a number of close friends who are owners. Okay, now when they have a winner, I don't think they would decry giving the jockey a 1% win bonus. Okay, quite often there's a present in cash or elsewhere, which is perfectly legitimate, perfectly acceptable, gone on for hundreds of years, doesn't happen quite as often as it used to, OK? So maybe that could stop, and they know that they're going to give that jockey that additional 1%.
You couldn't stop anybody giving a present to someone else.
Absolutely not. But we're talking about winning bonuses here, John. We're not talking about the guy who finishes last. He'll just get his riding fee. He's 118 quid on the flat, he's 161 national hunt, OK? We're talking about actually winning.
This year, of course, Good Friday, racing for the first time. Are you in favour of what they're doing, climaxing at Lingfield, of course, with a £1 million championship? Are you in favour of that, or do you think Good Friday should be clear for people in the racing game?
Originally, John, I was vehemently against it because it messed up with the PJA Leicester's Awards. So now that's changed. Yeah,
because they all get drunk on the
why not lay your hair down? I've got no hair to let down, but why not lay your hair down once a year? Yeah. OK, that's changed. The sponsors are happy that it's changed. That's fine. So once we'd seen what was being proposed, I've kind of accepted it. And I think most of the jockeys have accepted it as a day of work. So there's a £1 million bonus at Lingfield Park. Me personally, I might have started in year one with £500,000 day and spread the £1.5 million over the whole winter.
Well, that could be argued, but it is lucrative.
It's lucrative.
And the whole build up to it.
Absolutely. And I think the concept...
more money in the game.
Fine. I mean, it's a little bit behind time, but it's here now. We must embrace it and go with it and work with it.
People criticise the whole time, all-weather racing, not putting money
Absolutely.
in. Here comes this great pot comes in. But just put to you, I just can't understand what the objections are. So many people work. Hotels work, transport goes on, millions of people work on Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Christmas and all that. Why should jockeys and stable staff and trainers say, oh no, we're not going to do it? I just can't understand it.
Well, you've got to remember, John, that it's a time-sensitive job. The number of hours that those at the sharp end in racing put in, astronomical. You don't realise that the jockey or the stable lad or the horsebox driver, whoever, he's done half a day's work before he or she gets to the races. OK? The hours are astronomical. So this is another full day, and bearing in mind that Musselburgh is 3.5 hours from where we sit right now near Wetherby. OK? So that's a round trip of 7 hours minimum. On a Friday at Easter, it could take beyond that. OK? Lingfield Park...
Well, Lingfield, same distance.
Lingfield Park is more than that. The M1's a nightmare, OK? But for the southern-based jockeys, that's absolutely fine, OK? What I would like to see, and hardly anything has come up. I remember when I was riding in America at Gulfstream Park in the late 80s, the owner used to get a form of appearance money, $200 per runner. I know that's a different funding mechanism, but that's how it was then. I would love to see, bearing in mind the bookmakers... And they have a job to do, and we have to work with them. Absolutely, we have to work with them. If there was a funding mechanism in place, or we went to our friends, the bookmakers, and said, look, you've agreed this, it's going to help you, your profits are going to go up, who knows what they're going to be, John, OK? They will make money, whether you like it or not, on Good Friday, OK? They will make money. Let's have appearance money for the owner, for the trainer, for the jockey and for the lad, for every single runner on Good Friday at Musselburgh and Lingfield Park.
Listen,
how about that?
No, you are king for the day, and even if you could enforce this, no one would agree to it, because they'll say, once you start Good Friday, then we'll say Easter Sunday, we'll say, oh, any other days, any other special reason.
John, the other days off are the 23rd of December this year,
but
the 24th and the 25th. OK, they're the only days off. They're the only days off. OK, so this was a day that it's a religious day. OK, people need to spend time with their families at some stage. OK, I know jockeys.
Tell that to millions of workers round the country, round the world.
John, The average jockey earns the national average wage of £26,500. Okay? They are happy to try and go to Musselburgh and Lingfield and earn their riding fee. But what if they have one ride and it finishes nowhere? Okay? We've spoken about the non-runner thing. Okay? Maybe that'll come in, maybe it won't. Why can't they have a bonus for working on a day, on Good Friday, okay, when they're putting themselves out to service the industry, okay? Why can't they get a form of appearance money? Lots of other industries on that day will be time and a half.
Yeah, but owners and others will say, once you let that wedge in, then, of course, every time they'll be wanting appearance money.
No, but the owner's going to benefit.
Yes.
The owner's going to benefit. If it's £500 per runner, ballpark figure, Lingfield Park and Musselburgh, let's say there's a total of 165 runners, 80 grand. Not a lot of money in the grand scheme.
The bookmakers are paying this, aren't they?
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Hey, listen, I'm king for the day, John. That's my opinion today. But they are going to benefit, okay? They are going to benefit, and it helps. And I'm talking about the owner getting 250 quid, okay? So part of his expenses, bearing in mind it costs...
Another drain on the owner.
No. The owner's getting it. It's not a drain on the owner, John. This is a benefit. This is a plus. That little plus sign. He's going to see a credit in his account. The trainer, he gets 100 quid, so he gets a little bit of a benefit. The jockey, he gets 100 quid, and the lad leading it up gets another 50 quid. You tell me what's wrong with that.
Bookmakers wouldn't do it. Right, we've got Good Friday racing coming in. Now, I'm appalled at the way we treat Sunday racing in this country. Around the world, you've ridden around the world. That Saturday and Sunday builds up, families go. The big race often is on a Sunday, and Ireland, some of the big races, the Arc is on a Sunday. And over in this country, apart from the Kipco 1,000 guineas at Newmarket and one or two other races, it is dire fare that they give. Why can't we make Sunday racing the equivalent of Saturdays and really boost it up and build it up?
There is something, John, we fundamentally agree on. I couldn't agree with you more. Perhaps we should start writing even more letters to the racecourses and the BHA. Nothing annoys me more than Sunday with 6 very poor races and 1 OK one, and no promotion of it, and almost as if, oh, it's a Sunday, well, we'll just have to take the hit. I've already looked at the calendar for this year. Some have improved. I'll give them their due. Some have. I'll give Pontefract as an example. Wonderful Sunday card, listed race, Class 2 handicap, different distances, so the horse population is catered for, betting public is catered for, the public are catered for, it's packed out. They have 3 Sundays. More racecourses should copy Pontefract. Some of them are just getting the drift now, but others are making no effort at all. Absolutely no effort.
I remember Epsom once held the Oaks on a Sunday. I remember Channel 4 covered it. It poured with rain. Actually, nobody turned up, and that was a disaster. But Newmarket on Kipco 1,000 Guineas Day, the same crowders would turn up if it was held on the Friday or the Saturday. So there seems to be no drive from the BHA, which you are now taking over as king for the day. You would force it through that we're going to have top-class races on a Sunday, top-class cards.
Absolutely. Ridden in France, ridden in Italy, yes. Ridden in America, ridden in Ireland, ridden in Germany, and elsewhere, and bin racing around the world in the Far East. And I just think that it's a day of leisure. It's a day when people can get out and embrace it. And if they enjoy it, they'll come back again.
But people are already complaining, Dale, that the midweek racing is being sort of shunted aside so much more. They've moved the York Festival down to including a Friday into it. Cheltenham's brought in a Friday, whether it's going to go to a Saturday. That more and more we're losing the midweek special meetings, or they're being diluted to go and help the weekend, the Saturday. Now you'd say for the Sunday as well.
Well, to be perfectly honest, and it's a train of thought, and I may be wrong, but in America they have a dark day. Perhaps when we're all dead and buried, or when we're laid out on the sofa, perhaps Monday in the UK could be a dark day, but we promote Sunday racing. The other thing that should happen with Sunday racing, when you look at the programming of it, John, we have 2 codes, flat and national hunt. There is this bizarre planning structure where on a day in July, there's 3 very ordinary national hunt fixtures, when the likelihood is the ground will be like the A1, the road you've just driven up. That's in the middle of the flat season. We have 3 fairly grotty national hunt fixtures. We also have days when you're looking at it and thinking, geographically, is this right? There's a day in August when Pontefract and Southwell race, not too far apart, 1 flat, 1 national hunt. We have we don't have a very good structure. Perhaps we should just have...
Legally you can't, the BHA
I know,
can't
absolutely.
lay down the law.
But we should look at it geographically, we should look at it thoroughly and say, right, perhaps we should have 2 fixtures every Sunday, and perhaps we can tie in both codes and the seasons and have one weekend with 2 flat fixtures, 2 decent ones, proper structure, proper programme, and the following Sunday have 2 national hunt. OK, the Christmas period, that would probably be geared towards the national hunt, but we could do it.
I'd go further. I want really proper racing, more racing on a Sunday, and less in midweek.
Tie it in. Well, perhaps we can shift some of those crummy Monday fixtures to the Sunday. Perhaps, if we could listen to you, John, we go to 3 on a Sunday rather than 2. That's 150 Sunday fixtures as opposed to 108 or whatever we've got.
Take it away from some of the midweeks.
Take 1 or 2 away, but don't just take it away and put on this grotty car. There was many a day when I would ride a winner on a Sunday. Some people might say, well, there weren't many of them, but there were days when you're almost embarrassed for the owner. He'd win quite a nice race on a Sunday. There's no presentation, there's no feel-good factor. It may as well have been a Monday with nobody there. Sundays do need a kick up the backside, John.
And finally, you've come up with a suggestion that all people outside of racecourses would agree with. Free entry. You're saying free entry for under 21s, OAPs, over 65s, at all-weather racing. Well, some meetings would be an exception, not like Royal Ascot and the Grand National at Aintree and Cheltenham, but most meetings,
yep.
Free entry for those classes of people and ages of people. With the racecourses, I know they're getting more money for media rights. Will they ever agree to that?
Probably not. But by the time you're 65, you've worked pretty hard, you've paid your way, you've paid
we agree with
you've paid your taxes. You paid your taxes,
yes,
OK?
Yes.
By that time, should you not get free entry? And let's face it, young people now are facing an uphill struggle. You know, it used to be 18 when you went off into the wild world and got a job, and it seems to be later and later and tougher. Let's get them interested at a younger age. Free entry up to 21. They may well come back into it and want to come racing more often when they're older and have got a job and got a bit more money. We need to encourage the youngsters who are the next generation.
We all agree on all of this, and it's a wonderful thing. So you're king for the day. You're bringing in free entry, under 21, over 65s, and all weather. My goodness, I would like to crown you myself. Dale Gibson, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.